Subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon so that you know when live we go.
Hello and welcome to Rao's IAS DNS session. We are going to have a discussion on today's newspaper, The Hindu, Delhi edition dated 28th May 2022. We shall pick up articles relevant for civil service examination and will discuss these articles as per the demand of the exam. There is an article on page number 5, Dalit killed in Karnataka over interfaith relationship. See, this issue of interfaith relationship, intercaste relationship, intercaste marriage, interfaith marriage, because of changing social order, is making round in news quite often. Recently, Supreme Court also has passed a judgment on intercaste marriage.
We will cover this article from the point of view of two sections of our GS paper. We'll look at it from the perspective of society section of GS paper 1. The very first topic mentioned under society is silent features of Indian society. Caste, religion, these two are important silent features. And so is the institution of marriage. And intermarriages touches on both these important features, caste and religion. So in intermarriages, three important features of Indian society comes into picture. Caste tension as such is also linked with the peaceful existence of diversity in India, which as such is also an important feature of Indian society. UPSC in fact in 2019 has asked a question on marriage. The question was this: which article of the Constitution of India safeguards one's right to marry the person of one's choice? As per the judgments of Supreme Court, one's right to marry a person of one's choice is covered under right to life and personal liberty, Article 21. And right to marry the person of one's choice hence becomes a fundamental right. So this right to marry being a fundamental right, and since it is in news prominently and there are various judgments of Supreme Court on the issue, it becomes very important part of GS paper 2 as well. First, let me give you the observation that Supreme Court has made in the recent judgment, and then we will do the analysis based on these observations. Supreme Court has observed that educated younger boys and girls are choosing their life partners, which in turn is a departure from earlier norms of society where caste and community played a major role. The court says that possibly this is the way forward, where caste and community tension will reduce by such intermarriages. This way forward actually has been given long back by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, to which the Supreme Court bench also makes reference in the judgment. The bench had referred to the annihilation of caste, which was supposed to be a speech to be delivered by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar in 1936. There he says, I am convinced that the real remedy is intermarriage. Fusion of blood can alone create the feeling of being kith and kin, and unless this feeling of kinship, of being kindled, becomes paramount, the separatist feeling, the feeling of being aliens, created by caste, will not vanish. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was very sure, but the Supreme Court judgment, being very cautious, has said possibly this is the way forward. Making reference to the earlier judgment of Supreme Court related with marriage, this judgment has again reiterated that consent of family or community or clan is not necessary once the two adult individuals agree to enter into a wedlock, once they decide to marry each other. And their consent has to be piously given primacy. Primacy why? Because it is a fundamental right under Article 21. However, Supreme Court also observed in the judgment the younger generation that chooses to marry beyond the norms of caste and community was facing threats from elders. We will come to this point towards the end of the discussion again, but keep this in mind. Supreme Court in the judgment has made some new argument, came to a new conclusion using some of the arguments given by the court in the previous judgments. The issue of intermarriage is hinged around Article 21 of Indian Constitution. Article 21 gives basic fundamental right to Indian citizens, also called as the right to protection of life and personal liberty. Article 21 reads like this: no person shall be deprived of his life or personal liberty except according to procedure established by law. meaning a citizen cannot be deprived of these rights arbitrarily. Right to life is a basic human right, but attached with right to life is right to personal liberty. Liberty is a very important concept. It also has been mentioned very prominently in our preamble. In the preamble to the Constitution, you will find liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship. Apart from justice and equality and fraternity, a very important constitutional value of liberty has been mentioned in the preamble. There was a question in the prelims examination 2019, and this question gives you the direction in which the legal jurisprudence of India is moving. The question was this: in the context of polity, which one of the following would you accept as the most appropriate definition of liberty? There was some confusion between option B and option D. Option B is absence of restraint and option D is opportunity to develop oneself fully. Absence of restraint is a kind of negative concept and it's an old concept of liberty. The positive concept of liberty is to give opportunity to individuals, to allow an individual to make choices for himself or herself in order to develop fully. Supreme Court in many instances have observed that realization of a right is more important than mere conferment of the right. Of course, just listing down the rights in the Constitution, just conferring rights to the citizens is not enough. You have to make the socio-political economic situation in the nation such that these conferred rights are actually realized. Rights cannot be realized, it cannot be exercised by citizen if there is no freedom to make choice. So liberty becomes an indispensable preliminary condition for realization of rights. And liberty is linked with dignity, which is also a fundamental part of right to life under Article 21. Aristotle has said that human dignity comes from ability to make choice. Do you know why Simon Commission was boycotted in India? Because it did not have any Indian member. Simon Commission was appointed to look into the possibility of making a constitution for India. And there was no Indian member. The future of the nation, the way the economy, the society, the polity of the nation will grow, the people of the nation have no say in that. The choice that the nation would be making by virtue of making the constitution is not given to them, which is tantamount to taking away the dignity of the nation. The reason why we talk about strategic autonomy in international relations is because the nation must make the choice for itself. It must not be forced by foreign powers. The same would be true on individual level. If individuals do not have the ability to make choices, there is no dignity in life. And when there is no dignity, there will be no morality. Because liberty, and by that virtue dignity, is the root of all morality, as Immanuel Kant puts it. From discussion of 2019 and from various judgments that happened in and around this time period, you will understand that the legal jurisprudence in India, the attention of the courts is towards ensuring liberty of individuals, even if that goes against the demand of social conformity. The reason why liberty has been clubbed up with right to life is because without liberty there is no ability to make choices and there will be no dignity in life. Further, there is a concept of doctrine of progressive realization of rights, meaning as and when the state, the nation is ready, more and more rights are conferred on the citizens. And you have seen this, DPSP getting transferred into fundamental rights, right to education and other such rights. Supreme Court of India had a great role to play in expanding the scope of fundamental rights of citizens, especially vis-a-vis Article 21. In Menka Gandhi versus Union of India, this is a very famous case in which it was reiterated by Supreme Court that right to life includes right to live with human dignity. That would involve freedom of movement. That will involve having basic necessity of life like food, like water supply, basic source of income. So far, I have taught you many things, but among them, there are two important things. Number one, Article 21 has right to dignified life as a part of it. And it includes important value of liberty. Going forward, in August 2017, a very important judgment of Supreme Court came, which is popularly called as Puttaswamy judgment. Here, Supreme Court said unequivocally in the clearest of the term, right to privacy is a fundamental right. and is an intrinsic part of right to life and liberty under Article 21. Supreme Court applied the doctrine of progressive realization of rights to include right to privacy as part of right to life and liberty under Article 21. And with addition of right to privacy in fundamental right, the scope of fundamental right will increase even further. Puttaswamy judgment came in August 2017, and very shortly the mains examination of 2017 was conducted. UPSC asked this question, very, very important question. Examine the scope of fundamental rights in the light of the latest judgment of Supreme Court on right to privacy. The Puttaswamy judgment they are referring to. Meaning how the scope of fundamental right will change after this judgment. See, if privacy is a fundamental right, then matters related to privacy will also fall under the ambit of fundamental right under Article 21. Which means that choosing your partner, your right to choose your partner for physical intimacy will also become a fundamental right. Because what is more private than physical intimacy? Puttaswamy judgment actually ensured that in Navtej Singh Johar case, Supreme Court naturally, by extension, will decriminalize physical intimacy between two consenting adults of same sex. Because it is a private matter of two individuals and privacy is a fundamental right. It cannot be violated. Then as the consequence of this came the Joseph Shine versus Union of India 2018 case, which is popularly called as adultery judgment. Your personal data is also a private matter to you. And if I don't want to reveal if I am diabetic or not, I must be allowed to do so. My health data, my political belief, my religion, my gender, everything is personal to me. So government cannot force the citizens to collect these private data. This was concluded by Supreme Court in the Aadhaar judgment. All of that flowing from Puttaswamy judgment. And then in the Hadia judgment that is related with inter-religion marriage, right to choose your life partner of your choice, which is again a private issue, was declared as fundamental right covered under Article 21. In conclusion, what we have learned so far effectively is this. Article 21 entails three important rights. Right to liberty, right to privacy, and right to dignity. We will analyze the issue of intermarriages on these parameters, and it can also become your template to be used in analysis of any other issue. We will check intermarriage on these three parameters individually. First, how does intermarriages, intercaste, interreligious, or for that matter same-sex marriages relate with liberty which is guaranteed under Article 21? Supreme Court in Shafin Jahan versus Ashokan case, which is same as Hadia case. Mr. Ashokan was father of Hadia and Shafin Jahan was the man Hadia married to. In the Hadia judgment, Supreme Court said, choice of faith and beliefs, as indeed choices in matters of marriage, lie within an area where individual autonomy is supreme. Individual autonomy is supreme, meaning it will be given preference over the demand of social conformity. The idea that was propounded by Supreme Court previously in the Navtej Singh Johar versus Union of India case, this homosexuality case. Supreme Court then said that the Constitution protects personal liberty from disapproving audience. The same idea was again reiterated in the Sabrimala judgment. In all these cases, you will observe that Supreme Court is putting individual rights, the right to liberty, before the social demand of conformity. And finally, Supreme Court concluded in the Hadia case that ability of a person to choose a partner form the essence of personal liberty under the Constitution. And personal liberty has to be guaranteed by the state. That is the promise of the Constitution to the citizens of India. In the recent judgment and the judgment written by Justice Chandrachud, it was said that intimacies of marriages lie within a core zone of privacy. What can be more private than that? And since it lies in the core zone of privacy, it has to be more so protected because privacy is a fundamental right. In the Aadhaar judgment, Supreme Court has said that choice of an individual is an inextricable part of dignity. Dignity comes actually from the ability to make choices. Because dignity cannot be thought of where there is erosion of choice. Choice is an inseparable part of dignity. Having a dignified life is a fundamental right. And what is a more important choice than choosing your life partner? So right to marry a partner of your choice is related with dignity. Dignity is an important part of Article 21, which is a fundamental right. So right to marry a person of your choice becomes a fundamental right. Supreme Court has recognized the importance of social values, morality prevailing in society. But the court has said that these are not above the constitutionally guaranteed freedom. And in various judgments, including the Sabrimala judgment, the court has said individual freedom prevails over purported group rights. That is why in the beginning I have told you that the legal jurisprudence of India is moving in the direction of safeguarding individual rights, individual freedom, individual liberty before the prevailing social morality. So on these parameters of Article 21, the core of the core learning that we had is this: right of an individual to choose a life partner is an absolute right. This has been said by Justice Chandrachud in the recent judgment. Being an absolute right, it cannot be violated for any reason, even for social conformity. This was looking at the issue from the lens of GS Paper 2. But in the judgment, Supreme Court has given more arguments from the societal perspective, which will become our material for GS Paper 1. Supreme Court has rightly observed that this social rigidity towards intermarriages is a manifestation of the idea of patriarchal autocracy and possibly self-obsession with the feeling that a female is a chattel. Chattel means a movable personal property. When you prepare patriarchy under the features of Indian society, there you are made to learn that patriarchy actually stems from this feeling that males, they possess females, even their sexuality. If you look at it from the context of a girl not being allowed to choose a life partner of her choice, that is actually a reflection of patriarchal autocracy in the society. The urge of the male members of the society to control the sexuality of females, to treat them as their chattel. Second important argument put forward by the Supreme Court, as we saw in the beginning, diversity is also an important feature of Indian society. And the cohesion and stability of our society depend on our syncretic culture, our diverse culture. And the courts are duty bound to protect our pluralism and diversity. If you disallow intermarriages, you are forming a rigid society. You are discouraging diversity. The conviction of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, as we saw in the beginning, you must use in GS Paper 1 under Society section. He said that I'm convinced that the real remedy for what? Remedy for casteism, caste-based discrimination, is intermarriage. Marriage as an institution, although is becoming an individual affair more recently under the influence of globalization and urbanization, but largely it is seen as an important institution in Indian society. And solution to any societal matter has to stem from the society itself. That's why I come back to the last important observation of Supreme Court that we saw in the beginning. Although younger generation, they are choosing to marry beyond the norms of caste and community, but they are facing threats from elders. And if we are to encourage intermarriage and ensure the individual rights of dignity, liberty and privacy, we must deal with this problem.
There is an article on page number 4. Thiruvananthapuram Declaration seeks passage of bill. Recently, first National Women Legislators Conference has been concluded in Thiruvananthapuram, and the most important highlight of this conference was the reiteration of passage of long-pending Women's Reservation Bill. This bill seeks to provide 33% reservation for women in Lok Sabha and state legislatures. See, lately we have performed very well compared to our past performance in sending women to parliament. In the last election, we have sent 78 women MPs. But still, in the ranking for women's political participation, India's performance has deteriorated. We presently rank 148th on the parameter of women's political participation. But we used to stand in 90s 2 decades back. For instance, in 1998, our rank was 95. Taking this opportunity given by the article, let's discuss women's political participation.
Let's try to answer this question. Why do we need more women in political leadership? First of all, on the most fundamental level, this is a question of democratic representation. Women constitute around 50% of population. So by virtue of only this, they must be represented in the leadership position. But if that does not sound convincing to people, we can go on giving more reasons. For example, women bring more perspective and experience to politics. It has been amply documented that when women faced with the exercise of power, women tend towards cooperation rather than competition. So women's leadership becomes extremely important for harmonious development of society, and it becomes extremely important in conflict resolution. According to UK's first special envoy for gender equality, who visited India recently, Joanna Roper, she says women make a real difference in peace negotiations, and 60% of peace negotiations made by women are less likely to fail. She gives more statistics, like 35% are more likely to last for more than 15 years. So in conflict region, the importance of women political leadership becomes extremely important. Joanna Roper says that there is a strong evidence that if you bring women together, everyone benefits. To show how everyone benefits, let's take some more examples. Esther Duflo, who is now a Nobel laureate, conducted some study in 2000s in central India. Her study concluded that village pradhans invested more in rural infrastructure that served better the needs of their own gender. For instance, women pradhans were more likely to invest in providing easy access to drinking water, since collection of drinking water is primarily, if not solely, studies. Let's take example of Iceland. Iceland leads in many of the human development indicators. This can be seen in the perspective that participation of Icelandic women in political decision making is more than 44%. Bangladesh is an extraordinary example of female leadership. Since 1991, largely their prime minister has been woman. For few months, there have been male prime minister, but largely since 1991, Bangladesh have had female prime minister. And we see the real difference in lives of Bangladeshi women. Bangladesh performs the best in South Asia in terms of gender equality. Also, in terms of female entrepreneurship, Bangladesh is leading in South Asia. National Bureau of Economic Research paper that came out in 2014 found a strong connection between implementation of political reservation and small-scale entrepreneurship among women. The paper noted that there was a growth of approximately 40% in women-owned establishments and associated employment after political reservations were implemented. We have political reservation for women in local governance, and the political reservation data between 1994 to 2005 was taken into account to come to this conclusion. You can also give reference to one public opinion survey that was done in Rajasthan that revealed that women in villages with head council position reserved for women are likely to be willing to report crimes to police. There is more trust and confidence in the administration with the presence of women. It can make administration smoother, and it can become a tool for good governance in India. See, this question of women leadership is a very broad one. It goes into the economic sphere, social sphere, political sphere, but the article is confined to the political leadership. We'll also confine ourselves to political leadership only. But to achieve gender equality in general, in society, in all walks of life, politics can serve as an example, because it is easy to do here. It is easy to monitor as well. We have political reservation already in local governance. There is a bill pending in Parliament for reservation of women in Parliament and Legislative Assembly. It can be done. And the numbers for political leadership can also be seen and analyzed very easily. So these are the reasons why we must have women leaders in political positions. Now, what is the status of women leadership in politics? It's not very good. Although the 2019 election sent the largest number of women to Lok Sabha, but women still constitute only 14% of total strength of Lok Sabha, and only 10% of women are ministers. There is a very positive example from the country Rwanda. There, 60% of seats in its lower house is occupied by women. At one point of time, India had 4 women chief ministers, but presently there is only one, Ms. Banerjee from West Bengal. Because of poor representation of women in parliament and otherwise, India has a very poor rank in terms of political representation of women. India stands 143 out of 192 countries, and the data is provided by Inter-Parliamentary Union. Inter-Parliamentary Union basically is an international organization, a union of all the national parliaments of various democracies of the world. The article suggests that one easy and straight way to increase political representation and leadership in politics of women is to take through the Women Reservation Bill. Women faces numerous challenges. Challenges with respect to stereotyping, challenges with respect to campaigning because of poor financial condition, low asset ownership, etc. So a level playing field can be created by the legal measure. And one measure is to provide reservation in the parliament and legislative assemblies. Women Reservation Bill was first presented in Lok Sabha in 1996. Then successively it was reintroduced by various governments. But the thing as it stands today is this. Rajya Sabha has passed the bill in 2010. It is pending in Lok Sabha. And the state legislatures are also yet to give their approval. Because in this case, approval of state assemblies will also be required because the bill seeks to provide reservation to women in legislative assemblies as well. So approval from at least 50% of states must also come. The author suggests that since the bill has been thrown into the cold store, alternatively what can be done, the leading political parties or alliance like NDA and UPA, they must reserve a third of their party nomination for women. So this will ensure greater entry of women into legislatures without the provision of reservation. The only problem with this suggestion is the political parties who are stalling the bill in the parliament, how can it be expected from them to take initiative outside the parliament? The author says that the main hurdle against women taking up political leadership position is the prejudice against them. Women are not seen as capable as men in taking up the political leadership position. And this prejudice existed all over the globe. Women didn't have the voting rights in European countries until after First World War. And many countries like France gave the voting right only after Second World War. There was a problem of prejudice. Women were not seen fit for the task. This prejudice was broken during First World War in Europe. When most able-bodied men, the healthy men, went in the battlefield to fight the war, women had the opportunity to show their mettle, to show that they are good enough, to show that they are at par with men, to show that they can take activities that were solely preserved for men earlier. Women started to go to factories, work on the factory floor just as men, which was unimagined before. In Europe, the war created this opportunity for women, and women proved their mettle. And this broke the anti-female bias, and this was partly responsible for women earning the right to vote in European countries. A similar example comes from Bangladesh. As we have talked before, that since 1991, Bangladesh has seen mostly female prime minister. And this had huge impact on the nation. Bangladesh today stands at 7th position globally in political empowerment of women. When you see a female leading the nation, then there is no question of stereotyping that females are not fit for the task. It breaks down the stereotype in the society. And once that is broken down, then equal opportunity is created for women. In India, although we have had many female chief ministers, we also had a female prime minister, Miss Indira Gandhi, but that kind of a strong leadership from female has not come yet. And there is no chance of having a crisis like Europe had, where female will automatically take up the leadership position. So in case of India, to break up the stereotype, female have to be brought to the leadership position through the means of reservation. And once they will come up to the leadership position, that will decrease the bias among the voters. And automatically that will increase the percentage of female politicians contesting and winning elections. And in the longer run, maybe quotas may no longer be necessary once this biasness stereotype is broken down.
This is an article from page number 10. Akruti to take roots in Kudankulam. See NPCIL, Nuclear Power Corporation of India Limited. It assists unemployed youth in the village panchayats near the Tarapur Atomic Power Station, which is in Maharashtra, through its program called as Advanced Knowledge and Rural Technology Implementation. That's what Akruti stands for. This advanced knowledge and rural technology implementation, it comes through help from BARC, Bhabha Atomic Research Center. It's country's premier multidisciplinary research and development center under Department of Atomic Energy. And it not only just identifies new nuclear power generation techniques, but BARC also devises new user-friendly and cost-effective technologies in fields of nuclear science, radioisotopes, in any general application of industry, health, and agriculture. And then these technologies are taught to the younger generation and unemployed youth to make them entrepreneurs. That is what is being done under the program Akruti. After having successfully implemented Akruti program near the Tarapur Atomic Power Station villages, NPCIL is now all set to launch this program in the villages surrounding Kudankulam nuclear power project. And the technology product that NPCIL would want to transfer to the youth of villages through Akruti program would be triangular shaped cost effective foldable dryer like this. This can be used to dry fruits and vegetables, even meat, and other perishable items like fishes and other form of meats. This triangular shaped dryer having multiple steel meshes, it has a poly sheet in the front. This amplifies the atmospheric temperature to 2 times. If the atmospheric temperature is around 30 degrees Celsius, temperature inside this dryer would be around 60 degrees Celsius, which is a good temperature to dry out the fruits and vegetables to ensure longer shelf life. This affordable solar dryer can also be used for drying fishes, and this becomes significant because around the Kudankulam nuclear power project, there are around 13 coastal hamlets. And this kind of dryer would be a boon for the fishermen. Now you take up a small task and tell me what have you learned from this news. For example, encouraging entrepreneurship among the youth, having inclusive growth and development, balanced regional growth, technology-aided development. Come with terms and phrases like this so that you can use this news as a case study in answer writing. There is an article on page number 10. Rajnath undertakes a sea sortie on submarine INS Kandheri. Sortie in the military parlance is kind of attack mode. The mode that military changes from being defensive, coming out of the defensive position into the attack mode. The Defense Minister Rajnath Singh, he was given a tour of INS Kandheri to show the defense capability of INS Kandheri. INS Kandheri, first of all, is a Scorpene class submarine. Scorpene is one of the most sophisticated kind of submarine which is capable of taking many kinds of functions, many kind of roles, like for example anti-surface ship warfare or anti-submarine warfare, all for the purpose of intelligence gas submarines which are being developed by Indian Navy under Project 75. They itself are categorized as Kalvari class. So we basically have Kalvari class of a Scorpene submarine. These Kalvari class submarines, they are designed on the line of French Scorpines. And the 6 Scorpines, they are actually being developed by Mazagon Dock Limited with assistance from French naval groups on the basis of a deal that was signed in 2005. Mazagon Dock Limited, it gets assistance from Department of Defense Production. Mazagon Dock Limited is a public sector unit under Ministry of Defense. So there was a plan of developing 6 Scorpene class submarines under Project 75. Among these 6, INS Kalvari was the first Scorpene, INS Kandheri was the second, followed by INS Karanj and INS Vela. These 4 have been commissioned. Sea trial of INS Vagir has been done already, and the trial of the 6th and the last Scorpene class under the first batch of Scorpenes under Project 75 has also been done. The 6th one is INS Vakshir. So all the 6 Scorpene class in the first batch are already ready. Now you have answer to question of the day for yesterday and today's question of the day. Please attempt the question, have some fruitful discussion in the comment section, and